to the 3D Code Experience. My name is John Pennington. We're continuing in our series of learning 3D Code with Cubify fans. What we're going to do first here is we're going to set up our default settings, and then we're going to start with a blank canvas in voxel mode. Alright, now that we're in here, the things that I want to do is I want to set to orthographic, and that was an orthographic, but I want to make sure I'm there, and then I'm pressing 2 on my keyboard to get me to a front view. I have a tool panel here and I want to dock it, so I hold it over here till that blue rectangle shows up, and then I drop it, and there it is. Okay, so now my tools are over here. Today we're going to work with the Blob tool. We're also going to work with a tracing image, so we want to go to our background, and we're going to bring up a reference image for X, and I'm going to use this seahorse. Okay, it's good to have all your stuff prepared. Once you see it where it's at, and if you needed to, you can actually shrink things horizontally, vertically. You can actually deform your image. I set my images up in a graphic editor the way that I want them. Once you're happy with your image, hit close, and you can resize just like this. This image no longer will move. It actually will spin with your model. So we're looking at it from our side view. That's why we went with the x-axis, so that we could trace from the side. And we're using the blob, and we're going to go over here, and we're going to use the free form lasso, stroke lasso, and this tool allows me to just kind of go around here and do a real quick, and you're like, well, John, that's not perfect, and that's okay, because what I'm trying to do here is just get me some of the basics, and I'm going to tweak it in a little bit using some of the regular tools. Okay, so here we are, and see I have my image back there to help me out anyways, and there we are. That's my seahorse in a nutshell. Okay, now I could have used some other tools that would have been more precise, but they would have slowed me down, and I still would have had to adjust them. So I'm going to go to my move tool, which I have set on I hit space and number 2, or I could have went down here to the adjustment level tools and hit move. Okay, so no matter how you get there, this is what we want. Now in this, it's probably better that you get in there closer. Okay, I don't need my brush to be that big. That's going to modify a large area, although I want to be somewhat big, and I tend to do kind of like a sweeping motion on my tools, so that way when they come in here, they're moving smoothly. Okay, and if you're struggling with your move tool, try changing yours to my adjustments. Okay, I have the move degree about 46%. Okay, I'm not using the steady stroke. I have a 35 on my radius. The smoothing has to do with another tool. When you press shift down, you can smooth. Alright, so, and you can see my depth. It's just from flat to just about there, and that's plenty. Okay, and again, just go around and move it until you get it all kind of to the edge. Okay, and it's very important that you stay as close to the edge when you're moving, because if not, you'll actually move almost like a pulling of the skin rather than the mass. And you see how quickly that's starting to line up with my drawing. I'm holding both of my mouse buttons down and moving for the pan. Now when I do this, I'm going to have to make my brush smaller. You can adjust this brush to a size to where it'll work quickly, but at the same time not pull the whole thing over. So as we start working on some of the tail down here, we're going to have to reduce this brush, otherwise we'll be moving it rather than stretching it. Now I hope someday that the owners will put in a push ability on this move tool. Is great, but it really only works when it's on. I'd like to be out here and push in. That was something that we could do in CB Model Pro, and I'm sure we're going to get there, but we just don't have a tool for that yet. And again, you can see I'm not trying hard to be so perfect. Blob is one of the few tools that you can use that will actually do something when there's nothing on your screen. That's one of the nice things about Blob. Blob will do its Fear will do it. If you're not careful, when you pull in too far, especially when you're pulling in, you'll do a weird deformation. You can fix everything, but once you learn what caused it, it's so much better for you, because then you don't have to deal with it at all. Increase your brush when you need to. Things like this, I can tell I'm going to move a lot more, so I want the brush. What it is the bigger brush, just it has more influence over a larger area at a time. Pulls more rounded rather than a sharp pull. Okay. You can see where the overlap is. It's kind of almost looks like there's light shining on it, but basically it's because there's nothing behind it. It's brighter. Alrighty, and I will probably speed this up and only slow down for points that are important. Alright, and there it is. And that's him. It's all done. So you can grab your smooth brush, and I'm at 24%. I'm going to make it kind of large, and I'm just going to run around the edge and just kind of try to get some of the bumps out of it. You want to be careful on the narrow part of your tail. So with the smooth tool, we're going to quickly go around it. I'm going to raise my modifier up a little bit and try to get in here and do some aggressive smoothing. Actually, I'm going to go to my fill. You remember the fill tool? The fill is almost the opposite of your smooth tool. Bring it in, and let's go right around there, because it might do a little better job on some of this stuff. I'm going to raise this up a little bit so that it's acting a little more aggressive. Fill tool will slow down when you raise it up. Just keep that in mind. Okay. Alrighty. And I'm going to go back to the smooth tool. We'll put a little bit of spin on it so I can see those ridges a little better. See them there on that front. Okay. Now, had I used the B-spline, I might not have some of this, but this is really not going to harm me. There's a couple things I can do. I'm going to go all the way down here. See where it says smooth all? Let's hit it a couple times. See what we got here. Okay. I'm still getting these ridges. Let's raise this up some, see if it helps. There it goes. Sometimes you hit that right click, you don't mean to. I explained the navigation tools in my first or second video, so if you're not sure how we're navigating, please take a look back at those videos to get that all figured out. Alrighty, we're getting pretty close to where we want to be. Let's move this up a lot. I'm going to, let's go to my front view. Look at that. Got some issues with that nose, don't we? Let's fix that. Let's get our move tool up there. We're going to be mirroring this in a second, so that'll help also. In fact, let me use my airbrush tool to... first let's mirror it. Let's go to symmetry. There it is. Let's dock it over here. See how that rectangle comes up? Drop. Alright, symmetry. Let's go for the X. Let's look at the front. Make sure, yep, we're looking pretty good. Let's go back up here to our smooth brush. Let's hit this side. And now let's this little double arrow here will tell it whatever last side you made an adjustment on to mirror the other side. And see how that did that? It split it right there. Had I worked on the left side, then that's the side that would have been copied. Put my fill tool in there. And some of these tools take a little while to load. I've got this video thing going at the same time, so it can definitely slow some things down for me. There we're going. There it is. Alrighty. That's pretty smooth. I mean, we can get smoother. I'll be fast forwarding this. And once it's getting to this place, okay, you can see it's smoothed out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to resample this, and I want it to be smooth, and I'm going to tell it to do half for now. Actually, I'm going to tell it to do a quarter. And so it's, there we go, that wasn't too bad. So I think you can see how that actually smoothed things out. One more interesting thing for those of you that are interested is if you hit W, you can actually see the wireframe. Sometimes that'll help you to see some of your deformation a little bit better. Obviously I can look, depends on how I'm holding this, I can see like there's a bow right there. I don't need my wireframe, I just wanted you to know how to do that. Alrighty, so there, I'm gonna leave it at that. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for what I'm doing right now. Let me just hit a couple quick smooths, a couple spots, see what I can do here. Alrighty, going down there. See, I've got my resolution lower so the smooth works faster now. There we go. Yeah, that's smoothing her out pretty good. And just keep running down that center. I think I will finish smoothing it off some. Now that I've got my... You will notice that the higher the resolution, the less you see a real reaction in your smoothing, even though I've got the smoothing at 100%. And if I stick on that wireframe, you actually can see the motion. See, so something is happening. And see right here where we're going to need some fill. And just give it a second. There it is. So let's bring that up. There we go. And let's go back around the back. We'll run the fill right down that center. See how that just brings that cavity up like that? Let's try to keep that little dot in the center line on this. Okay. Don't need the wireframe on. Just wanted you to see what it looked like to do this. And there's one more quick right there. See how nice and smooth that makes everything? Reason I'm not real worried about the smooth is I'm going to put another texture on this when I'm done, on some of it. Alrighty. And so that's that. Okay. There's my seahorse's basic. Okay, so that's his body. It's actually more than his body. His head's there, so I can't call it a torso or anything like that. Now I want to add a layer, and I want to create these little shapes right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to a special primitive. So let me go to our primitives. Primitives are down here in objects. I have it up here in my shortcuts. So you can do it either way. Remember, to put a shortcut, all you have to do is drag it up there. We're going to go to this one right here, and we'll learn more about this later, but this is the lathe tool. So we put that up there. Let's get it over here a little bit. You can kind of see these are like a bell shape. Alrighty, so I want to be dead on, so I'll hit number 4 to make sure that I'm able to see it. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is, you see over here I've got all these options, but for the most part this shape is dependent on this line. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to modify this line a little bit. Okay, so that way we can, and that almost looks like one of those little things. And then when you're done, you click apply. We're on a low resolution, so let's see if that's going to be high enough for what we want. I think it will be, and it won't require too much stuff. I don't even know what those are called, so I'm just going to call them the spine parts, because that's where his spine would be. Get my transform tool up there. And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to just keep copying layers until I've put these exactly where I want them. So I'm going to turn it. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to reduce it. And I'm going to use the center reduction because I want it to reduce uniformly. Alright, that's in there. Now let's look at it from the side just to get an idea. Yeah, I'm liking that. Okay, so that's that. That's number 4 to the side. Alright, so what I want to do is I'm going to duplicate this, and then I'm just going to move it. Oops, I did not wait for the activator to tell me that it was ready. And it's a little bit bigger than what it needs to be on this one, but you know what, that's not as big an issue. I think I will reduce it, but it's really not a super big issue. Again, I'm going to duplicate it, and we're going to move it up. Now you can move by grabbing the center as well. Get it to about where I want it. Adjust it. There it is. So we got 3 more to do. Boom. You could do the same kind of thing like if you were creating teeth inside of a mouth. I obviously shrunk that away quite a bit, but it'll be alright for what we're doing today. One more. Move it over to here. Rotate. What could be easier? Let's take a look at it. Just zoom out a little bit. I could probably dimple those in or whatever, but I'm going to leave it right where it's at for now. I think it's sufficient for this model. Next thing we're going to make is this part right here. And we're going to create this in sections. Okay, so we're going to use our blob again. First thing I want to do is I'm going to take all of these parts here and I'm going to put them together. Okay, so basically I'm just going to right click, merge with the one above, right click, merge with the one above, right click, merge with the one above, right click, merge with, right click, merge with the one above. Okay, there they are. One more, merge with the one above. Okay, the other thing I want to show you is if I go up here and I choose the body and I turn the body Okay, one moment. I accidentally clicked this archive, which is a good thing if you're working on a very large model and you need to get a reduction in parts. Then you want to basically archive some of them. It'll still give you one to look at, but the one you're working on will be reduced. Okay, so alrighty. Now if I click on the body with my transform tool and I move the body, it doesn't, these things don't move with it. Okay, so let's undo that. And see over here, this plus sign allows you to add a new layer, but underneath here. And over on this side, you have this little, it almost looks like a division symbol. I'm not sure what it's called, but you can grab that and move it. And I'm going to drop it on the new, I'm going to drop it above the newly created layer. Now, it's integrated over here. If I actually shrink the body, you don't see that, okay? This empty one can be deleted now because I don't need it there at the moment, okay? But I can turn the spine part separately, or I can click on the body and I can adjust my whole model, okay? So that's a nice feature depending on what you're building. Sometimes you want to tweak the whole item with all of its little parts, okay? But you still want to keep the parts separate. And we'll see why at the end of the video, why I wanted the spine to be on a separate part and why this here is all going to be on separate parts. Okay, so let's go ahead and add another one, and I don't know what else to call that, so I'm going to call it a tail fin. I'm not an expert on sorry about that. Click on this. There we go. So it's the tail fin. It's funny because it's actually a back fin in my opinion because it's on his back, but I'm not an expert on seahorses. Alright, so we're going to go there. Let's pick up the blob tool and let's go get, I'm going to use the spline tool, the close spline tool, okay? I'm going to get in here real close and I'm drawing on this tail fin layer, alright? And so what we're going to do here is we're going to start by drawing some points just like that. Alright, and then we hit escape once and that locks it, and now if I want to edit these points, I just click on the point I want to edit. And you might have to get in closer to do some of these, but obviously that wasn't a good choice because it's not pinned. So right click that. Now I can move these again and get myself into a little bit of a place, and I'm not worried as much about how this model looks. As far as the detail of it goes, okay? So that's going to be it. Now you have choices over here. I'm going to show you real quick. You can do a sharp border, hit your enter button, and that's a sharp border. Unsee that. You can do a plain border, which will basically like a cylinder, but yet in this shape. Okay, see how that looks? I'm going to undo that. Control Z. I've been using the round border on the objects I'm doing today. Notice how with the B-spline I had a much more precise curve. There it is. That's exactly what I want. Because I got the mirror on, I have two of them. I'll show you how to deal with that in a moment. For the, whoops. Let's escape out of that. Okay. For the moment, I'm going to hide everything else. Okay, obviously when I hide my layer I lose everything, so I'm going to hide the spots in this, and that's just so I don't accidentally do something. Excuse me. I'm going to go to the transform tool. I'm going to go here to symmetry. I'm going to turn it off for a moment, and then I'm going to get my cutoff tool, and I need to get into a position to where I can cut one of these off. So I'm getting close as I can. Alrighty, so this is pretty tight, and so I think I got what I want without doing any. Yep, looks like it. Alright, so let's go back to number 4. Yeah, alright, so let's go back to our transform tool. Transform. There it is. Alrighty. Alrighty. Align to viewpoint to the center mass so that it stays right on top of the device that I'm doing. Okay. 2 shows me the front, 8 shows me the back. Either one of them shows me a pretty good point. Now see, because I have my axes on, I can see my center. Okay, leave those on, that helps you out a little bit. What you see up here, when you move this way, you see the number that's changing. That number right there, I'm going to zero it out. Okay, there it is. And I'm going to go over here and just kind of turn this a little tiny bit. Alrighty, and hopefully not too much, so we don't want it looking weird. Alrighty, so there's 2, there's 4. I'm kind of liking what I got. Move it up to there. I'm going to see if I can bring it in about there. Excellent. Okay. And so that's going to be it. This one here doesn't necessarily need to be copied. I mean symmetry, because they're already smooth. I'm not going to have to smooth it out. So I'm going to leave it where it's at. We're going to duplicate that. And we're going to bring another one. But it's going to be spun some. And then brought down. So right about there. I'm going to reset my axis so that it's with my screen, and I'm just going to make this one just kind of a little bit fatter and longer. There we go. Yeah, I'm liking that. Okay. So let's see what we got. Yeah, I can live with that. Alright, so let's make another copy. Bring it down. I'm going to rotate around the current pick point. Okay, so this way I've already got that locked in up there, so that's where I want it to rotate. It's not doing it because I'm not rotating the screen. But the gizmos is where I'm getting my rotation from. And I can fix that by going up here and move only the gizmo, but it really would take too much time. So we'll just leave it the way it is. Make another copy, bring it down, rotate it a little bit more, right about there. Bring it in position. Okay. Another copy. Bring this one down. Rotate it. Another copy. Down. Rotate. Another copy, down, rotate. It's already selected underneath, so you could just hit copy or duplicate. Alright, there we go. And that's all of those. Let me shrink away a little bit, get an idea what that looks like. That's not too bad. Alrighty, now we're going to go to our move tool. and we're going to use auto pick. Auto pick actually will, if you notice, whatever one I click on highlights. Okay, so we're just going to go in here a little bit and we're going to play with these some. Click once to select it, then start your moving. Click once, move. And there we go. That's our tail. Let's back it away. Let's turn everything back on. Right click on anything, show all hidden volumes, and there you go. Now you've got your little guy there. Okay, and if I go up to the body, if for any reason I wanted to move him and I clicked on that spot again, I could hit escape. When that happens, that would stop it. But I'm on the body. If I if I did anything as far as reposition the body, the whole item will move with it. Okay, so let's escape out of that, or not, I mean Control Z out of that. Let's go up here. We're done with this background. So what we want to do is bring up the reference image. Okay, and I'm just going to say open because that's the easiest way to do it. You get up here, hide all, then close. Alright, I haven't found an easier way yet. I'm going to go up here to turn my rotate to world center, which means that when I want to rotate, it'll always rotate on the axes where they converge. Alright, there's that, and we're going to throw a little texture on the body. So number 4 for the side view. Let's go to our symmetry and let's not show the plane. Okay, we're going to use the airbrush like we did before. We're going to go to our stencils, and I've already added my new one, but basically you just click on new, go into your resources or your stencils, and then pick it and open it. And so it's in there. Now I can get rid of one just by deleting. Right click, delete. Yes. Alright. Okay, so there's my basic stencil, my airbrush. I want to look at this particular stencil's not, it's not a, I'm going to invert it because I want the lines to come out, not the dots. And I just want to see how it's laying out on here. It's looking pretty good. Yeah. And then my airbrush. Let's close my stencil for a moment. I have 2 semi-transparent items, so my airbrush wasn't showing up. And there are my brushes again. Alrighty. And I want to, the higher this is, the bigger my impression is going to be. So let's bring my stencil back up. Alright, and it hasn't moved. And so what I want is just to gently go over this like you're seeing. Oops. Undo that. go to this brush. There we go. And just give them a little texture. It might be too much. We'll see here in a second. I can always smooth it out. I like it. I actually like it. We'll throw some smoothing in here. Flatten some of this. Like up here, let's get rid of some of the detail up here on his face. Nobody needs that much texture on their face. And let's just soften it going down his back, not too much. Whoops, the auto pick was on. So let's turn that off because that can get confusing. All right. Smooth. Back down his back. Down here. There we go. And the same thing here. And I could get fancy with this. It just depends on what I want to do. I could grab my pose tool and put some of this, make some of this narrower. But I'm going to kind of leave it just the way you're seeing it. I don't want any on his nose. And I really think this should just be lightened up a little bit. Yeah. What do you think? Different looking. And there's different textures I probably could have found, but and that's where the prep is what really helps you with this stuff. There we go. Okay, I'm liking that. Alright, let's give him an eye. Alright, so we're going to need a new layer. Okay, let's call this his eye. And just do a sphere. And I want to use this one because it allows me to move around. Okay, let's see what that one looks like. Yeah, it's not bad. Kind of cartoony, but looking pretty good. And then the only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of cut a little mouth into him. So let's go with the 4. Let's get in here. Let's go to the vertex lasso. And I'm going to just kind of cut right into here. Just a sliver. And oops, we're on the eye. Anytime you don't like, it doesn't do what you think it should have done, there's usually a reason. I was still on that eye layer. Alrighty, we're back to the body. Alrighty, so here we go. Whoops, cut off. And there's a little mouth for him. Alrighty. I like it. So, from there, we can actually color them. We could do a lot of different things. Okay, but that's our seahorse for now. I'm going to take you into the paint mode in 1 second. Okay, now let's go to the paint mode by going up here to where it says paint. Give everything a second. The first thing that happens when you go to the paint mode is that 3D Cult automatically converts all your voxels to surfaces. And the reason is that a voxel cannot hold the paint information. Okay, and we have over here, we have stencils. We can use stencils just like we did in the other to paint on this object, and it'll leave lines and stuff where we want them, and that's kind of nice. If you wanted to paint a logo on something, it is dependent on resolution, so keep that in mind. I'm going to open this up a little bit further. I'm going to take the PBR materials down here to the bottom and drop them because they're easier to work with down here. I'm going to take this down some. There we go. You just get a better view of them. I'm going to go to default for a moment. Okay, this one here is just old school paint. I'm gonna go ahead and select it. I've got a couple colors that I've picked up here that I'm going to try to use in this. This little panel's for previewing. You just bring it over here and let it go, and there's your preview of what that color would look like using this paint. I'm probably going to use this old school paint because it's not very glossy. At the same time, it'll render pretty much what I want. Okay, just to give you an idea, we'll click on a different one. There we go, and this one has some texture in it, so you see it reacts differently. Look at how those the deeper parts have a darker color, and the parts that are on the surface have obviously a lighter color. Okay, let's move over here to this one that's for cartoon look. Give it a moment. There we go. And if you hold on them, they'll pop up and you'll get a name. I'm going to go to this one. This looks like a robot type of cartoon. Look at that. Okay, now not all of these are going to be useful for what we're doing today. I like that has some grunge dirt to it. Okay, you could go over here to paints, get into the paints. We got some really glossy ones. Let's look at this one. Again, that looks like a robot to me, but it's not giving me the robot look here because of the way my bumps and stuff are. Some of these react to the height of your model. Let's go to plastic, and I want to go to this bottom one, which is glossy, and this here will make the model very shiny. You see all that white? That's the gloss. Okay, so we're going to go back to default, and we're going to use the old school paint, and that's what we're going to use. I don't need the preview right now. I can pull it over here. I'm going to go to the side view, which is number 4. I'm going to use the bucket, and I'm going to use my top color, and I'm going to click on my model, and let's see if it filled everything. Sometimes it misses spots, but that actually did a very good job of filling my model in exactly where I wanted it to be. Now, because these are on separate layers, not everything got colored. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here, but I'm going to go every other one. Okay, and I'm going to make these the same color as the body. Okay, I'm going to now switch the top color, and I'm going to use it on these ones. Now I could be using my brush, but it takes a lot longer, and there are other reasons, other things involved. Let's change this to a white. Okay, let's click on the eye. Let's see if it did the other eye. It didn't. Okay, even though it's mirrored, it didn't do it into paint, and that's okay. That's quite alright. I want to see if I can do something here. I need to hold the Alt key to zoom. This here may or may not happen the way I want it to, but we're going to try. The brush, let's go to a black, which is down here. Let's click OK, and let's make this brush a lot smaller. Okay, we want to ignore back faces. I'm not sure that it matters, but at the same time I don't want to be painting the top of this guy's head. Okay, and I just want a little bit of a black in here. I don't need to be so perfect to the edges, but I believe it'll help make the mouth stand out a little better. Let me see if that's enough. Not too bad. Let me go back in a little bit more. I don't need that at the moment. See how it runs over the edge there? So you got to be a little bit careful with the brushes. So if you get close like that to where you want to be, you want to stop brushing before you start again, because if you don't, you'll end up undoing a large portion of your work rather than a little portion. So just kind of maybe do dots. Just depends on what you're after. Okay. I can always switch back to this color. If I lost that color, I can get it by clicking on the model. Stay here for 1 second. I don't know how that changed colors on me, but it sure did. Odd, huh? Alrighty, must be an opacity thing. Alright, let me switch just real quick. See if I can touch up. Yeah. There and there. And you can get a little more precise over time. And we'll start learning more about paint tools later. I just wanted to give you a little taste of painting. Let's go back to the brush. Let's go to a circle. And let's put a dot on this eye here. Right there. Not gonna do it, huh? Alright. Oh, wrong color. I wanted black. So. Okay, and that one mirrored. Now go figure on that, huh? Alright, let's back them off, see what we got. Whoops. Okay, and I'm gonna take, let's get this green color back on the top. Let's go to the airbrush mode. Let's get this here one in there. Whoops, let's go to this one. I like the rounded, it falls off better. Let's go with a bigger, and I'm going to test this. I might have to undo it. Not quite where I want it. Let's go to a full side view. Actually, let's go up here. Okay. I'm just kind of running down the side of this. And it's looking like that will actually paint my spine parts as well. Just a little bit of a detailing on them, that's all, you know. Nothing super major. Alrighty, go back to this, and boom, boom, boom. Just want to see if it went the whole way around. It did. Alright, and that's it for our model. The last thing I'm going to show you is what it looks like rendered. Let's hit on render. You go over here. We do not need to see the plane, so let's get the symmetry plane out of there. Alright, and now let's close that. And here's where you're going to adjust your light a little bit. Sometimes the rotation angle is going to be important. Yeah, you see the shadows moving as we're moving around here. And this can actually save as a picture, and we'll talk about that later on. But for right now, we're just going to do what a render will look like. And there he is, all rendered with some shadows. A little bit harsh, but we're going to get better as we are into painting and rendering and things in that direction. Hope you had fun with this tutorial. I had fun making it. Real quick here to show you another thing about rendering, and then I will be completely done with this video, is I want you to see that you have anti-aliasing on over here. You have 32-bit rendering. Go ahead and click that on, and let's click no shadows. That helps sometimes take away, you know, some of the stuff because the lighting's not perfect in here. Okay, over here you have a rotation angle. Like I said, you still have it, you just aren't seeing the shadows. You have the light height, which is interesting because that determines how high the light's shining in and on. And you can change the color of the light as well as the intensity of the light. Sometimes taking the light down actually will do more for you. In fact, that's actually turned off. Let me look at that as a render. That went back to full bright. Press your spacebar to quicken out of that. Let's go up here to these lights, and this is the angle of the light, and I can adjust that. You can see how it's changing on his face, his body. Okay, so, and then this one here is the primary light's intensity. Taking that down again, let's go back over here to render. That looks a lot better. Just wanted you to see that before we stop. 32-bit, no shadows, and adjust your light intensity and turn some things down. Turn that. For this particular model, he should almost be maybe at that angle to get a good view of him, because now you can see his mouth and everything. Thank you again. I am done this time with the 3D Code experience. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.